Ladies and gentlemen, you see, one of the greatest lessons in life is that not every battle is meant to be fought head on. In fact, the strongest warriors know that the most powerful victories often happen without lifting a hand. Victory is not about who fights the hardest, it's about who understands the art of winning without engaging in a fight. To understand your enemy's weakness, you must first realize that no one, no matter how powerful or influential they may seem, is without flaws. Often people are blinded by the apparent strength of their opponent, focusing solely on what seems invincible. But true wisdom lies in looking beyond the surface and observing carefully. Every individual, every adversary has a vulnerability, something they overlook or underestimate within themselves. It could be a character flaw such as arrogance, impatience, or pride. Or it might be a weakness in their strategy and over-reliance on their strengths, leaving blind spots unguarded. The key to exploiting your enemy's weakness is observation. Watch them closely. Don't be quick to act or react, but rather take the time to study their behavior. How do they respond under pressure? What makes them uncomfortable? Where do they tend to make mistakes? These questions are crucial because they reveal cracks in the armor that would otherwise go unnoticed. It is through these cracks that your opportunity for victory emerges. Next, you must understand the power of subtlety. Identifying a weakness is one thing, but acting on it without triggering alarms is another. If your enemy realizes that you've identified their flaw, they may rush to strengthen it. But if you approach with tact, slowly and methodically, their weakness remains exposed, allowing you to navigate around their strengths and strike at the core of their vulnerability. Furthermore, you should never underestimate the role of ego in your enemy's downfall. Often those who seem most powerful are fueled by pride, and that pride blinds them to their own limitations. When they overestimate themselves, they make mistakes, and it is in these moments that you gain the upper hand. They may believe they are invincible, but it is precisely in this overconfidence that they are most vulnerable. Your job is not to challenge them directly, but to allow them to reveal their weaknesses through their own actions. Finally, it's essential to maintain patience. Understanding your enemy's weakness isn't an overnight task, it's a long game. You must wait for the right moment, and when that moment comes, their weakness will be your pathway to victory. Controlling your emotions is one of the most powerful tools you can possess in any conflict. Emotions, when left unchecked, have the ability to cloud your judgment, leading you to make rash decisions that can turn even a winning situation into a loss. Anger, frustration, and fear are natural responses, but when they dictate your actions, you hand over control of the situation to your enemy. They begin to manipulate you not through force, but through your own reactions. When you allow your emotions to take over, you become predictable, and predictability is a weakness. The first step to mastering your emotions is self-awareness. You must be conscious of what you are feeling at every moment and understand how those feelings influence your thoughts and behavior. If you find yourself in a situation that triggers anger or frustration, pause before reacting. Take a step back mentally and assess why you are feeling that way. Is the emotion justified, or is it a result of your enemy's provocations? Often your enemy will provoke you deliberately, hoping to push you into making a mistake. But if you recognize that they are trying to manipulate your emotions, you can disarm them by choosing not to respond emotionally. One of the greatest advantages of controlling your emotions is that it keeps you in control of the narrative. When you are calm, composed, and rational, your enemy cannot predict your next move. They expect you to react, to lash out, or to lose focus, but when you maintain your composure, it throws them off balance. It is in these moments of calm that you can think strategically, plan your next steps, and decide the best course of action without being influenced by emotional impulses. Furthermore, controlling your emotions allows you to see the bigger picture. In the heat of the moment, when emotions are running high, it is easy to get caught up in the immediate conflict and forget the long-term goals. But when you are able to step back and remain emotionally detached, you can evaluate the situation with clarity. You can see the consequences of each possible action and choose the one that best aligns with your ultimate objective. This kind of long-term thinking is only possible when you are not ruled by emotional reactions. Lastly, controlling your emotions gives you an edge over your enemy. When they see that you are not easily rattled, it can be incredibly frustrating for them. They may try harder to provoke you, but each attempt only reveals their desperation. In contrast, your calmness becomes a source of strength, a quiet power that makes you seem invincible. You do not need to fight with brute force because your emotional control becomes a weapon in itself. It allows you to stay focused, composed, and in control while your enemy is left struggling to figure out how to handle someone who refuses to be moved by their provocations. Silence is one of the most underestimated strategies in dealing with an enemy. It is often mistaken for weakness or indecision, but in reality, silence is a profound and deliberate form of power. When you remain silent, you withhold information, and in any conflict, information is critical. Your enemy relies on your words, your reactions, and your emotional outbursts to gauge where you stand and what you might do next. When you refuse to give them any of that, you leave them guessing, unsure of your intentions or plans. The beauty of silence is that it forces your enemy to confront their own uncertainties. When you don't respond, they begin to overthink, overanalyze, and sometimes even act irrationally. They may try to provoke you, hoping for a reaction, but the more you remain silent, the more uncomfortable and unsettled they become. They expect confrontation, but when there is none, they don't know how to proceed. They are left questioning their own strategies, doubting their moves, and this confusion can be more effective than any verbal counterattack. Moreover, silence allows you to gather your thoughts, to reflect, and to plan. In a heated situation, words can often be used carelessly, and once spoken, they can never be taken back. Silence gives you the space to assess the situation from a place of clarity. You can observe what is happening around you, analyze your enemy's behavior, and make informed decisions based on observation rather than emotion. In this quiet space, you gain a deeper understanding of the dynamics at play, allowing you to act with precision when the time comes. Silence is also a demonstration of inner strength and self-control. When you remain silent in the face of provocation, it shows that you are not easily swayed by external forces. It conveys confidence and stability, two qualities that are often more intimidating than loud displays of aggression. Your enemy may speak loudly, may try to intimidate you with words or actions, but your silence shows that you are not afraid, that you are not moved by their attempts to draw you into a confrontation. In fact, your silence can make them feel as though they are fighting an invisible force, something they cannot quite grasp or predict. There is also a strategic aspect to silence. When you speak, you reveal your thoughts and intentions. When you remain silent, you keep your plans hidden. Your enemy doesn't know whether you are preparing for an attack, retreating, or simply observing. This uncertainty works in your favor because they are left making decisions based on incomplete information. In their attempts to guess your next move, they may make mistakes, overestimate or underestimate you, and ultimately weaken their position. Silence can also shift the power dynamic. When you choose not to respond, it places the responsibility on your enemy to make the next move. This often forces them into a reactive position where they feel compelled to act or speak simply to fill the void your silence creates. In doing so, they may reveal more about their own weaknesses or insecurities, giving you further insight into their vulnerabilities. They may try to dominate the conversation or the situation, but in their desperation to control, they expose themselves. Finally, silence is a form of discipline. It is not easy to remain quiet when every part of you wants to defend yourself, to argue, or to set the record straight. But mastering the power of silence teaches you patience, self-restraint, and a deeper form of control. It shows that you are not a slave to impulse, that you can rise above the need for immediate validation or gratification. This level of control is not just powerful in dealing with enemies, it is powerful in life. It allows you to move through situations with grace, to navigate conflict with wisdom, and to maintain your dignity and composure, no matter the external circumstances. Strategic withdrawal is not about running away or giving up, but rather knowing when to step back to reassess the situation and position yourself for a more favorable outcome. It is a powerful tactic that requires wisdom, patience, and foresight. Many people think that retreating is a sign of weakness, but in reality, it can be one of the most intelligent moves you can make in the face of an adversary. By withdrawing strategically, you create space for yourself to regroup, gather strength, and evaluate your options with a clear mind. The essence of strategic withdrawal lies in recognizing when the situation is no longer in your favor. It takes courage to acknowledge that continuing to push forward will not yield the results you want. Instead of forcing a confrontation that could lead to unnecessary losses, you pull back and conserve your resources, whether those resources are your time, energy, or even your reputation. In this way, you avoid being drawn into a situation where you are at a disadvantage, waiting for the right moment to re-enter when conditions have shifted more favorably toward you. One of the great benefits of a strategic withdrawal is the ability to gain perspective. When you are in the heat of the moment, it is easy to become overwhelmed by emotions or trapped in short-term thinking. But by withdrawing, you give yourself the chance to step back and view the situation from a broader, more detached perspective. This shift allows you to analyze the terrain more accurately, identify potential weaknesses in your enemy, and refine your approach without the pressure of immediate conflict. You are not running from the challenge, but stepping back to approach it with a stronger strategy and renewed focus. Strategic withdrawal also serves to confuse and frustrate your enemy. When you pull back, they may interpret your actions as a sign of defeat, and this can cause them to become overconfident. Overconfidence often leads to mistakes, and those mistakes can create opportunities for you to capitalize on later. Your enemy might lower their guard or make reckless decisions, believing that they have already won, and in doing so, they reveal their own vulnerabilities. When you return, you are better prepared, and they are likely caught off guard by your resilience and renewed strength. Timing is everything in a strategic withdrawal. You must know not only when to retreat, but also when to re-engage. It's not about staying out of the game for good. It's about waiting for the moment when you can come back stronger and smarter. During the withdrawal, you are not idle. You are re-strategizing, building alliances, gathering information, and preparing for the next phase. You are positioning yourself for success by making sure that when you do return, you have the upper hand. The pause allows you to strengthen your weaknesses and come back with a clearer plan, one that is more likely to lead to victory. Additionally, strategic withdrawal protects you from unnecessary battles. Not every conflict is worth fighting, and not every opponent deserves your full energy. By stepping back, you can evaluate whether the situation aligns with your long-term goals. Sometimes the greatest victory comes from avoiding a fight altogether. You reserve your strength for battles that truly matter, and in doing so, you maintain control over your own destiny rather than allowing external forces to dictate your actions. This tactic also prevents you from being trapped. When you refuse to withdraw in the face of unfavorable circumstances, you risk being backed into a corner with no way out. A strategic retreat ensures that you always have an escape route, that you never allow yourself to be completely overpowered or trapped by your opponent. It gives you flexibility and options, ensuring that no matter how difficult the situation becomes, you retain the ability to act on your own terms. You remain agile, capable of adjusting your approach as the situation evolves, and ready to strike when the time is right. In essence, strategic withdrawal is about playing the long game. It is about recognizing that victory doesn't always come in the form of a direct confrontation or immediate success. Sometimes the wisest move is to step back, allow the storm to pass, and then return stronger, smarter, and more prepared. It's about understanding that every step back is not a step toward defeat, but a step toward ultimate triumph. Outsmarting your opponent is often more effective than outfighting them. While physical strength or direct confrontation can bring immediate results, true victory lies in the ability to use your mind to outmaneuver your enemy without ever having to engage in an outright battle. The key to this approach is understanding that most conflicts are won or lost not through brute force, but through strategy, careful planning, and psychological advantage. Outsmarting someone requires foresight, patience, and a deep understanding of both your strengths and your opponent's weaknesses. When you rely solely on outfighting, you are engaging in a battle of strength, which can be unpredictable and costly. There is always the risk that your opponent may be stronger, more prepared, or have resources you are unaware of. However, when you focus on outsmarting them, you shift the conflict to an arena where intellect, cunning, and strategic thinking become your greatest assets. Instead of expending energy in direct confrontation, you conserve your strength by anticipating their moves, thinking several steps ahead, and staying one step ahead of them at all times. The power of outsmarting lies in its subtlety. You are not confronting your enemy head on, but rather influencing the course of events behind the scenes. It's about positioning yourself in such a way that your opponent's options become limited, forcing them to make choices that ultimately work in your favor. By predicting their actions and setting up situations where they fall into traps of their own making, you gain the upper hand without them even realizing it. This requires keen observation and a deep understanding of their behavior, motivations, and weaknesses. When you know how they think, you can manipulate circumstances to your advantage. Outsmarting also involves patience. In many cases, your enemy may try to provoke you into a confrontation, believing that they can gain the upper hand by pushing you into acting impulsively. However, when you remain calm and composed, refusing to engage in their tactics, they become frustrated and unsettled. This gives you control over the situation because you are no longer reacting to their moves, but instead creating the conditions that lead to their downfall. Patience allows you to wait for the right moment, the moment when they are most vulnerable, to strike without the need for a direct confrontation. In addition to patience, outsmarting also requires creativity. You need to think outside the box, finding solutions and strategies that your opponent does not expect. This might involve using unconventional methods, turning their strengths into weaknesses, or leveraging resources in ways they would never have considered. When you approach a conflict with a creative mindset, you see opportunities where others see obstacles. You find ways to navigate around challenges rather than confronting them head on, making your opponent's strengths irrelevant. Another critical aspect of outsmarting is understanding timing. Knowing when to act is just as important as knowing what to do. Often, the most strategic move is to wait for your enemy to make the first mistake. By observing their actions and waiting for them to overextend themselves, you create the opportunity to capitalize on their errors. Timing allows you to choose your moment carefully, ensuring that when you do act, it is with maximum effectiveness and minimal effort. When you outsmart instead of outfight, you also minimize the risks involved. Direct confrontation can result in losses on both sides, and even a victory can come at a great cost. However, by outthinking your enemy, you reduce the likelihood of unnecessary damage. You win the battle without having to fight it, preserving your resources, your energy, and often your reputation. This makes the victory all the more satisfying because it is achieved through intelligence and careful planning rather than brute force or aggression. Outsmarting also has a long-term impact. When you defeat someone through superior strategy, you gain a reputation as someone who cannot easily be beaten. Others will think twice before challenging you because they know that you are not only strong but also wise. This creates a ripple effect where future enemies are deterred not by the fear of physical defeat, but by the knowledge that you are always several steps ahead. The psychological advantage you gain from outsmarting an opponent extends far beyond the immediate conflict, giving you a lasting upper hand in future situations. Ultimately, outsmarting rather than outfighting requires a shift in mindset. It's about recognizing that the true battlefield is not always physical, it's mental. The most successful people understand that victory is not about who can throw the hardest punch, but about who can think the furthest ahead, who can adapt the quickest, and who can anticipate and neutralize threats before they even become visible. By mastering the art of outsmarting your enemy, you achieve results that are far more sustainable, enduring, and complete than anything you could gain through direct confrontation. Turning enemies into allies is one of the most powerful strategies you can use to not only neutralize opposition, but also to strengthen your position and create lasting partnerships. When you convert an adversary into a supporter, you're doing more than just eliminating a source of conflict. You're gaining a potential ally who can contribute to your growth, success, and stability. This requires a combination of emotional intelligence, empathy, and a willingness to see beyond the immediate hostility that may have characterized your relationship. Instead of focusing on the conflict, you focus on the potential common ground, looking for areas where collaboration could be mutually beneficial. The first step in turning an enemy into an ally is recognizing that every conflict has a deeper cause. Often, enmity arises from misunderstandings, competition for resources, or fear. By addressing the root cause of the conflict, rather than the symptoms, you can begin to dismantle the barriers that have been built between you and your opponent. This requires a willingness to engage in dialogue, to listen without judgment, and to seek to understand their perspective. When you show your adversary that you're genuinely interested in resolving the conflict rather than perpetuating it, you create an opening for trust to be established. One of the most effective ways to begin this transformation is to demonstrate empathy. While it may be difficult to empathize with someone who has opposed or even harmed you, empathy doesn't mean condoning their actions. Instead, it means trying to see the world through their eyes, understanding their motivations, fears, and desires. This approach helps to humanize your adversary and can diffuse the intensity of the conflict. By showing that you understand their position, you make it easier for them to lower their defenses and begin to see you as someone they can work with rather than against. In many cases, enemies are driven by a sense of threat or insecurity. If they see you as a competitor or someone who poses a danger to their success, they will naturally be defensive and hostile. However, when you approach them with a mindset of collaboration rather than competition, you can alleviate that sense of threat. Instead of focusing on what divides you, you shift the narrative to what you can achieve together. This reframing opens the door to the possibility of turning a rivalry into a partnership. When both parties realize that working together can lead to better outcomes than working against each other, the dynamic begins to change. Offering your adversary something of value can also be a pivotal move in transforming the relationship. This doesn't mean bribing them or making concessions that harm your interests, but rather finding ways to align your goals so that both of you benefit from the relationship. Perhaps there's a project opportunity or resource that could be shared in a way that strengthens both of your positions. By offering a gesture of goodwill, you send a message that you're not interested in perpetuating conflict, but in building something constructive together. This act of generosity can be disarming, as it signals that you're willing to move past the conflict for the sake of a greater good. Another important aspect of turning enemies into allies is establishing open communication. Many conflicts are fueled by miscommunication or the lack of communication altogether. When people assume the worst about each other without engaging in meaningful dialogue, it's easy for enmity to grow. By opening the lines of communication, you create a space where misunderstandings can be clarified and issues can be resolved before they escalate further. This doesn't mean every conversation will be easy, but it creates an opportunity for the relationship to evolve from one of antagonism to one of mutual respect and cooperation. Forgiveness also plays a critical role in transforming adversarial relationships. Holding on to grudges or past wrongs only perpetuates the cycle of conflict. While it's important to address past grievances, it's equally important to be willing to let go of them once they've been acknowledged and resolved. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting what happened, but it does mean releasing the emotional burden that comes with holding on to anger or resentment. By choosing to forgive, you free yourself from the toxicity of the conflict and allow the possibility for a new, healthier relationship to emerge. Turning enemies into allies is not just about diffusing a threat, it's about creating a future where both parties can thrive. When you transform a relationship in this way, you gain an ally who understands your challenges and can offer insights or support that others may not. Often, former adversaries can become some of the strongest allies because they've seen both sides of the conflict and can appreciate the value of working together. They know the cost of conflict and, having experienced it firsthand, are often more committed to ensuring that the new relationship succeeds. This transformation is also a powerful demonstration of leadership. It shows that you are someone who can rise above petty conflicts and focus on the bigger picture. People are drawn to leaders who can turn adversity into opportunity, who can turn enemies into allies. This skill not only enhances your personal and professional relationships, but also builds a reputation for wisdom and maturity. Others will take note of your ability to handle conflicts with grace and will be more inclined to follow your example or seek your guidance in their own conflicts. In essence, turning an enemy into an ally is about seeing the long-term benefits of collaboration over conflict. It requires patience, empathy, and a willingness to embrace the possibility of change, both in yourself and in your adversary. By focusing on what can be gained from working together rather than fighting, you create a new dynamic where both parties can grow and succeed together. It's a move that not only neutralizes the immediate threat, but also sets the stage for future success, built on a foundation of mutual respect and shared purpose. Being unshakable in purpose means possessing a deep-rooted commitment to your vision, goals, and values, no matter the challenges or distractions you face. It requires a level of conviction that transcends momentary obstacles, setbacks, or opposition. When you are unshakable, your purpose becomes the anchor that keeps you steady in the midst of chaos, doubt, or adversity. This inner strength doesn't just happen overnight. It is cultivated through self-awareness, discipline, and an unwavering belief in the importance of what you are working toward. Having a clear sense of purpose provides direction and clarity. When you know why you're doing something, it becomes easier to make decisions and stay on course, even when things get tough. Your purpose acts as a compass, guiding your actions and choices and giving you the confidence to move forward, even when the path is unclear. It's not just about having a vague idea of what you want. It's about understanding the deeper reasons behind your efforts and allowing those reasons to fuel your persistence. Staying unshakable in purpose also means resisting distractions that might pull you away from your mission. In life, there will always be temptations, competing interests, and voices that try to divert your focus. Whether it's the lure of short-term gratification, the opinions of others, or the fear of failure, these distractions can easily derail someone who is not firmly grounded in their purpose. But when you are unshakable, you learn to recognize these distractions for what they are: temporary noise, and you choose to stay on your path because you understand the value of what you're working toward. This level of commitment often requires a mindset shift. Instead of viewing challenges as reasons to quit, you begin to see them as opportunities to strengthen your resolve. Adversity becomes a tool for growth, sharpening your focus and deepening your commitment to your purpose. In fact, it is often through hardship that your purpose is tested and proven. When you face difficulties and continue to move forward, you not only build resilience, but you also reinforce your belief in the importance of your mission. Each time you overcome an obstacle, you become more grounded in your purpose and more confident in your ability to see it through. Moreover, being unshakable in purpose doesn't mean being rigid or inflexible. While your core mission remains constant, the strategies and methods you use to achieve it may need to adapt over time. Circumstances change, new information comes to light, and sometimes the path you thought was right may need to be adjusted. But even in the face of change, your underlying purpose remains steady. You are willing to adapt, but you never lose sight of the end goal. This balance between flexibility and steadfastness is what allows you to navigate challenges without being derailed by them. Another key aspect of remaining unshakable in purpose is developing the discipline to push through moments of doubt and uncertainty. There will be times when you question whether you're on the right path, when progress seems slow, or when others doubt your vision. In these moments, it's crucial to return to your core purpose, reminding yourself why you started in the first place. Discipline helps you maintain momentum. Even when motivation wanes, it keeps you moving forward one step at a time, regardless of external circumstances. It's also important to understand that being unshakable doesn't mean you won't experience fear or doubt along the way. These emotions are natural and inevitable. The difference is that when you are deeply committed to your purpose, you don't let fear or doubt control your actions. You acknowledge them, but you move forward anyway, trusting that your purpose is greater than the temporary discomfort or uncertainty you may feel. This kind of courage, acting in spite of fear, is a hallmark of those who are truly unshakable in their purpose. Your purpose also becomes a source of energy and inspiration. It gives you the strength to keep going, even when you're tired, discouraged, or facing overwhelming odds. When you're deeply connected to your purpose, the work itself becomes fulfilling and you find joy and satisfaction in the process, not just the outcome. This intrinsic motivation keeps you energized even when external rewards or recognition are lacking. It allows you to persevere through long, difficult periods because you know that what you're working toward is meaningful and worthwhile. Being unshakable in purpose also impacts those around you. When people see someone who is deeply committed to their vision, it inspires confidence and trust. Your steadiness becomes a source of strength for others, and they begin to believe in your purpose as well. Whether it's in a leadership role, within a team, or in personal relationships, your unshakable commitment can create a ripple effect, motivating others to align with and support your mission. People are naturally drawn to those who exhibit clarity and conviction, and your steadfastness can attract the right kind of support to help you achieve your goals. Ultimately, to be unshakable in purpose is to commit to something larger than yourself. It's about understanding that your life has a meaning and a direction that goes beyond personal comfort or immediate success. This higher sense of purpose gives you the strength to endure, to keep striving, and to maintain focus even when it feels like the world is against you. It allows you to tap into a deeper source of power, one that sustains you through the ups and downs of life. And with this kind of inner fortitude, nothing can truly shake you from your path. Letting time be your weapon involves recognizing that patience and endurance can often be more powerful than immediate action or quick reactions. Time, when used wisely, can work in your favor, allowing you to outlast challenges, gain perspective, and make better decisions. In many situations, acting impulsively can lead to mistakes or wasted energy, while allowing time to unfold naturally can bring clarity, open new opportunities, and enable you to observe developments that were previously hidden. One of the greatest advantages of using time as a weapon is the ability to allow situations to reveal themselves fully. Often, what seems urgent or critical in the moment becomes less significant with time. Problems that appear insurmountable may resolve themselves, conflicts can dissipate, and what once seemed like an adversary may no longer be a threat. Time has a way of shifting perspectives. And those who are patient enough to wait can often find that the storm they were prepared to fight has passed on its own. This is not about being passive, but about understanding when action is necessary and when restraint can serve you better. Furthermore, letting time be your weapon gives you the opportunity to build strength and gather resources. Whether it's acquiring knowledge, waiting for the right moment, or allowing your adversaries to reveal their weaknesses, time can serve as a preparation period. Instead of rushing into a situation unprepared, you can use the passing of time to equip yourself with everything you need to succeed. This approach allows for a more strategic mindset, one that values long-term success over short-term wins. It also means that when you do act, your actions are more likely to be decisive and impactful. Time can also expose the true nature of people and situations. Many individuals or threats that seem formidable at first glance can falter under the pressure of time. People who are not genuine or committed often reveal themselves when they are forced to maintain a facade over a long period. Similarly, situations that seem stable can deteriorate when not properly managed. By allowing time to do its work, you can observe the gradual unraveling of falsehoods, weaknesses, or instability in your opponents or obstacles. In this way, time becomes a silent ally, revealing truths that would have remained hidden had you rushed to act. In relationships, both personal and professional, time can play a crucial role in determining who is truly aligned with your goals and values. Those who are trustworthy and loyal will prove their worth over time, while those who are not will eventually show their true colors. By allowing time to test the strength of your relationships, you avoid placing your trust in the wrong people. Instead of being swayed by initial impressions or superficial appearances, you give yourself the gift of clarity and insight that only time can provide. Time also fosters growth and maturity both in yourself and in your environment. As time passes, you learn more about yourself, your strengths, and your weaknesses. You gain a deeper understanding of what you want and what is important to you. This self-awareness can guide you in making better decisions and handling challenges with greater wisdom and patience. In addition, as you grow, the circumstances around you may also change. Opportunities that weren't available before may arise, or challenges that once seemed overwhelming may become more manageable as you become more equipped to handle them. Moreover, when you let time be your weapon, you cultivate resilience. Resilience is not just about surviving tough times, but about developing the ability to endure them with grace and patience. When you trust in the power of time, you are less likely to be discouraged by setbacks or delays. You understand that success often takes time and that perseverance is essential to achieving lasting results. This mindset allows you to. In closing, the most powerful victories are not always those won through direct confrontation, but rather those achieved through wisdom, strategy, and understanding. By employing the principles of patience, emotional control, and strategic thinking, you can navigate conflicts with grace and effectiveness. The true essence of strength lies not in brute force, but in the ability to outsmart, outmaneuver, and ultimately turn adversaries into allies. Remember that time is on your side. Let it be your weapon. Use it to observe, to learn, and to prepare. By remaining unshakable in your purpose, you create a foundation of strength that can withstand any challenge. Each encounter, each challenge is an opportunity to grow and evolve, transforming potential enemies into supporters. As you go forth, embrace the mindset of a strategist. Trust in your ability to find creative solutions and to rise above the fray. Let your actions reflect your commitment to peace, understanding, and ultimately triumph. In the battle of life, the greatest victories are often won without a fight. And your path to success will be illuminated by your ability to wield your mind as your most potent weapon.